If you think your modern heater is the peak of human innovation, stop right there. Because thousands of years ago, people were surviving brutal winters with heating systems so smart, so efficient, and so natural that many of them still outperform what we use today. And in the next few minutes, you're going to discover ancient heating secrets so powerful that skipping this video would mean missing knowledge that could literally change how you think about warmth forever. Starting with the Roman Hypocaust, a hidden floor heating system that turned entire villas into cozy ovens without a single electric wire, where hot air flowed under stone floors like a silent furnace. But that's just the beginning, because in icy Korea, families slept on heated stone floors called ondol that stayed warm for hours using nothing but leftover cooking fire, while in ancient Persia, towering windcatchers trapped desert breezes and pushed cool air through underground water channels to create natural air conditioning before electricity even existed. And just when you think humans couldn't get smarter, the Inuit built igloos that trapped body heat so efficiently that a small oil lamp could warm the entire space, proving that survival wasn't about luxury, it was about intelligence. And here's where it gets even crazier. Medieval Europeans used thick stone walls, tiny windows, and centralized hearths to hold heat like thermal batteries, while in China Kang bed stoves combined sleeping and heating into one. Brilliant design that kept families warm all night using minimal fuel. And you might wonder, why don't we use these methods anymore? But wait, because ancient Scandinavians designed longhouses with sloped roofs and fire pits that circulated heat naturally, while Native American pueblos used multi-story adobe structures to trap warmth from the sun, turning architecture into a living heater. And just when you think you've seen it all, Japanese irori hearths heated entire homes while also serving as cooking stations and social centers, blending warmth with community. And here's the shocking truth. Most of these systems were cheaper, more sustainable, and more reliable than modern heating, because they didn't depend on power grids, gas lines, or fragile technology, only smart design and nature itself. And the biggest secret of all is this: ancient people didn't fight the cold, they worked with it, using earth, stone, wind, fire, and sunlight in harmony. While today we burn energy just to recreate what our ancestors already mastered. So the real question isn't, how did they stay warm? But why did we ever forget? Because the future of heating might actually be hidden in the past. And now that you know these secrets, you'll never look at your heater the same way again. Just when you think ancient heating wisdom has already shown its full power, the story goes even deeper, because some of the most advanced temperature control systems in history were hidden in plain sight, quietly protecting entire civilizations from deadly cold, starting with the underground homes of Cappadocia, where people carved living spaces directly into volcanic rock that stayed naturally warm in winter and cool in summer, without a single flame burning inside. And if that sounds impressive, wait until you hear about the ancient Romans who didn't just heat floors but entire wall systems, using hollow clay tiles to circulate warm air through their homes like a primitive but shockingly efficient central heating network. While in the frozen mountains of Tibet, thick stone houses with inward-facing windows trapped sunlight during the day and released warmth at night like thermal vaults, proving that ancient builders understood heat storage better than many modern architects. And then there were the Vikings, who didn't rely on just fire but on design itself, building longhouses with low ceilings, turf-covered roofs, and smoke channels that trapped heat inside while letting toxic fumes escape, creating a survival shelter that kept warriors alive through brutal Nordic winters. But here's where things get even more fascinating. In the Andes, the Inca built massive stone walls that absorbed solar heat during the day and radiated it back at night, turning entire cities into slow-release heaters powered only by the sun. While in ancient Africa, circular mud homes were designed to minimize heat loss, using thick walls that kept interiors warm even when desert temperatures dropped dramatically. And just when you think nature alone couldn't do more, ancient engineers took it to the next level with hot stones, heated sand, and thermal pits that stored warmth for hours, allowing families to survive nights that would otherwise be deadly. And here's the twist most people never realize. Ancient heating wasn't just about comfort, it was about survival. Because without electricity, without gas, without modern insulation, warmth was the difference between life and death. So every design choice mattered, every stone placement mattered, every airflow path mattered. And that's why ancient homes were not just buildings. They were carefully engineered heat machines. And the biggest misconception today is thinking that old equals primitive, when in reality, ancient heating systems were optimized through centuries of trial and error, refined by real-world survival, not computer simulations. And now let's talk about one of the most overlooked heating secrets of all, communal warmth. Because in many ancient cultures, people lived together in shared spaces where body heat, fire placement, and airflow created natural warmth zones, turning human presence itself into a heating resource, while modern homes isolate people into separate rooms that waste energy heating empty spaces. And here's something that will change how you see modern insulation forever. Ancient builders used natural materials like wool, straw, clay, and animal hides to trap heat far more effectively than many synthetic materials today, creating breathable, self-regulating insulation that worked with the environment instead of fighting it. And if that wasn't enough, some civilizations even used water as a thermal weapon against the cold, channeling warm spring water beneath floors or near living areas to radiate heat slowly and consistently, long before radiators existed. And the most powerful lesson in all of this is simple but shocking. Ancient people didn't rely on machines to stay warm. They relied on knowledge, observation, and harmony with nature. And that's why their systems lasted for centuries, while modern heating systems often break down in decades, leaving us helpless without electricity. But here comes the emotional punch. We didn't just lose these ancient secrets, we chose to forget them, because convenience replaced wisdom, speed replaced sustainability, and comfort replaced understanding. And now, in a world facing energy crises, rising costs, and climate challenges, the solutions we desperately need might already be written in stone, buried under ancient floors, and hidden inside forgotten walls. And the question that should haunt us is this: if our ancestors could heat entire homes without harming the planet, without draining resources, and without depending on fragile technology, then why can't we? And just when you think the ancient world has already revealed all its heating magic, the story takes an even more shocking turn, because some of the most powerful warmth solutions ever created weren't built by kings or engineers, but by ordinary people who simply understood their environment better than we do today, like the desert tribes who designed tents with layered animal skins that trapped heat at night and released it by morning, creating mobile homes that adapted to extreme temperature swings without wasting a single drop of energy, or the ancient Japanese farmers who used thick earthen walls and sun-facing windows to turn their homes into natural heat collectors, storing warmth during the day and releasing it slowly after sunset like a living battery, while in ancient Mongolia, yurts were built with circular designs and central hearths that allowed heat to circulate evenly, proving that shape alone could determine survival in freezing steppes. And here's the twist most people never realize. Ancient heating systems weren't just about fire, they were about airflow, because controlling how air moved through a space was often more important than how hot the fire burned. And civilizations mastered this by carving vents, smoke tunnels, and hidden channels into their homes that guided warm air exactly where it was needed, while safely removing toxic smoke. And the more you study these designs, the more you realize that ancient people didn't just build shelters, they engineered climate systems. And some of the most advanced examples came from places you'd never expect, like the cliff dwellings of the ancestral Pueblones, where homes were built into sun, facing rock walls that absorbed heat all day and radiated it back at night, turning solid stone into a giant heater, or the underground pit houses used by early Europeans, where living spaces were dug below ground level to take advantage of the Earth's natural insulation, keeping interiors warm even when the surface froze. And here's where the story becomes almost unbelievable. In parts of ancient China, entire neighborhoods were designed around shared heating systems, where heat from communal ovens traveled through underground channels to warm multiple homes at once, making heating a collective effort rather than an individual struggle, something modern cities are only now beginning to rediscover with district heating. And the emotional truth behind all of this is powerful. Ancient warmth was not a luxury, it was a lifeline, because without it, families didn't just feel uncomfortable, they faced illness, starvation, and death. So every innovation was born from necessity, every improvement from survival. And that's why ancient heating knowledge was passed down like sacred wisdom, not just architecture. And here's the haunting part. Most of these systems were abandoned not because they stopped working, but because modern technology promised easier solutions. And in that promise, we traded resilience for convenience. And now, when power grids fail, fuel prices rise, or disasters strike, we suddenly realize how fragile our modern comfort really is, while ancient systems were designed to work, even when everything else failed, using gravity, sunlight, stone, and fire in perfect harmony. And the deeper you go into this forgotten knowledge, the clearer it becomes that ancient builders didn't see nature as something to fight against, but something to cooperate with, using mountains, wind, soil, and sun as allies rather than obstacles. And that mindset alone made their heating systems more sustainable than most of what we use today. And here's the final revelation that changes everything. The future of heating might not lie in smarter machines, but in smarter design, because our ancestors already solved the hardest problem: how to stay warm without destroying the world around them. And all we have to do is remember what they knew, because buried in ancient walls, hidden under old floors, and carved into forgotten landscapes are the secrets that could warm the world again, not just with heat, but with wisdom. And just when you think the ancient world has already given us every heating secret it had, the final layer of this forgotten knowledge reveals something even more powerful, because the greatest warmth systems in history were not just physical structures. They were entire philosophies of living, built around patience, balance, and deep observation of nature, like how ancient desert civilizations aligned their homes with the path of the sun so perfectly that winter sunlight flooded their living spaces while summer heat was blocked, turning simple walls into seasonal temperature controllers, or how mountain cultures used narrow entrances and thick inner chambers to trap warmth like a sealed treasure, creating cozy sanctuaries against brutal winds. And here's the shocking truth: most people never realize. Ancient people didn't heat empty space. They heated life itself, focusing warmth around where humans gathered, slept, cooked, and bonded, instead of wasting energy on unused rooms like modern homes do. And that's why ancient hearths were always at the heart of the home, not hidden in basements or locked behind machines, because fire was not just a tool. It was a symbol of survival, community, and continuity. And here's where the story becomes deeply emotional, because warmth was often the last defense against despair, against illness, against the crushing silence of winter, and every stone placed, every wall shaped, every vent carved was an act of love for the next generation, a promise that they would survive the cold. And when you look closely, you realize ancient heating systems were not rushed inventions. They were slow wisdom, refined over centuries, perfected by observation, not urgency. While modern technology often changes faster than we can truly understand it, and now, in a world facing rising energy costs, climate instability, and fragile infrastructure, we are beginning to feel what our ancestors once feared: the danger of depending on systems that can fail, and the comfort of designs that never did, because ancient heating didn't need electricity. It didn't need fuel deliveries. It didn't need complex repairs. It only needed the sun to rise, the earth to hold warmth, and human knowledge to guide it. And the most powerful realization of all is this: our ancestors were not just trying to stay warm, they were trying to stay wise, building homes that respected the land, honored the seasons, and protected life without exhausting the world around them. And maybe that's the lesson we need most today: that progress doesn't always mean moving forward. Sometimes it means looking back, remembering what we forgot, and rebuilding not just warmer homes, but a smarter relationship with the planet, because the ancient secrets of heat were never truly lost. They were only waiting for us to listen again.